Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report with Lee Burkeen. We have a great guest today. Actually, a former college coach. I thought we'd have some fun from South Louisiana, from Cutoff, Louisiana. Went to South Lafourche High School, Nicholls State, coached at Nicholls State as a D-line coach, coached at Missouri Southern for a while, and has a long line of family members that played football. Actually, his dad, best of friends with head coach Ed Orgeron at LSU. And Dustin Gisclair, thanks for joining us, man.
Hey, Lee, thanks for having me. Really appreciate the opportunity to come on. Looking forward to it.
You know, we talked way back, and actually you were in our magazine back in 2002 when you graduated from the Tarpons, South Lafourche. And in 2002, you reminded me, that was a great recruiting class. LaRon Landry came out of Hahnville that year. Craig Davis came out of O.P. Walker, as it was called. Now it's Landry Walker. There were a lot of big-time players. I think 3 signed with LSU out of O.P. Walker that year. Hahnville had a bunch of players, and in South Lafourche. But take us back to 2002, man. It's already been a few years already, but you played at South Lafourche. What was it like being a Tarpon?
Yeah, man. That it feels like yesterday. I still bleed that blue and white, and it was a great time. We had some really, really good football teams, and playing with your best friends down there. It's just something different coming from down the bayou. Those guys had a different grit about them, We weren't always the biggest, we weren't always the strongest or the fastest, but you knew when you played the Tarpons, and we left our mark. And I'm proud of that. That's something I can really hang my hat on.
Dustin, tell everybody what your position was in high school. Just what position you played in football.
Yeah. So I played linebacker, weak side linebacker, and it was recruited as a linebacker. Ended up signing with Nicholls State. We had some great years. Our senior year, I guess our claim to fame would be my senior year. You mentioned LaRon Landry when they were ranked number 2 in the state, or 1 or 2, I forget. But they came to our place. Nobody gave us a chance, and we ended up beating them like 56-29 at our place, and knocked them down. So that was a really special night that I know a lot of the guys that I played with remember to this day.
Dustin, it was 56, you said? That many points?
56-29. Yeah.
I remember y'all beat them, but man, I forgot it was by that margin.
It was it was a blowout for a while, and we're proud of that, man. That was a great night.
Talk about your dad, Tommy, who is real good friends with Ed Orgeron. You said they go back to the days when they were little kids, and they go way back.
Yeah. So, well, first let me say, I played for my dad. My dad coached those over 30 years at South Lafourche. He's retired now, but my dad's a true Tarpon. I don't think anybody, really cares about the Tarpons as much as my dad does. He's been ever since he was a young boy. But getting to him and Coach O, so they're actually first cousins, but even more than that, they're best friends. They grew up together. Coach O's father and my grandmother, my dad's mom, are brother and sister. So Coach O and my dad grew up neighbors. They were always playing together, playing football in that neighborhood in La Rose. And it was they had a lot of great memories, a lot of good stories. Everywhere Coach O's been, whether it was Miami, Syracuse, Nicholls State, even USC, Tennessee, New Orleans Saints, all this different stuff. Ole Miss, we were there. We were there following them, rooting them on, and going to football camps. And so him and my dad talk pretty frequently, and they have a special bond.
Dustin, talk about when Ed Orgeron was hired for LSU, and then he wins the national championship. With Joe Burrow, the greatest season ever by a quarterback. What's the feeling of your family, seeing all that hard work with Ed? And, first of all, becoming an LSU coach, being from Louisiana, being from, Cutoff and Golden Meadow, that area. What was that like for your dad and your family and yourself to see Ed win a national championship for LSU?
Yeah. Lee, it was a dream come true. Look, I'll say this, when Coach O didn't get the job at USC, when he was interim, he should have gotten it. He didn't. I know my dad had conversations with him. That was a tough time for him, not getting it. But you know what? We believed in him. He never wavered. He came to LSU, worked his tail off, and when the opportunity presented itself, he said he was going to be ready, and he was. And he didn't blink, man. And they gave him that job, him and the staff, and he rallied those players and everyone in that organization. Grabbed the bull by the horn, said, "This is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it." And it was something special to see, because you know what? There was a lot of people that didn't believe he can get it done. They kept referring to look what happened at Ole Miss, and he didn't have the experience. Well, I tell you what, those people are eating crow now, because boy, did he do it, and he did it in true Cajun and LSU style, man. Probably the best college football season in the history of college football. So it was. We're proud, man. We are so proud. We're so happy for him and his family, and it's been something awesome to see, and just a true blessing. I know how much it means to the state of Louisiana, and it's really I think it's really brought us closer, as a state, as a community, and it's great. It's great. I can't say, as you can tell, I get a little fired up, emotional about it, because it. We've always knew if he had the opportunity again, he would get it done. And I know we bias. Yeah, we of course you say, of course you're going to think that, but there was just he's just a different breed when it comes to coaching and recruiting and knowing how to get the best out of someone. He's always been that way. So I was very, very happy for him.
Dustin, I want to share an Ed Orgeron story with you and the listeners. Remember when he was in between no job after USC, kind of laying low in Mandeville? Covington?
That's right.
The high school championships. You were a college coach. We'll talk about that later in the show.
Yeah.
But I'm going to the suite. I go to the high school championships every year. And we had a friend that had a suite. And, those morning 10 o'clock games are not as packed, the first game.
That's right. That's right.
And I go in and I see this one head in the suite, this big head, facing the back of the head, right? And and in the suite, it's just this one person. And I come in and I didn't know it was Ed Orgeron. I had never personally met Ed. I've talked to him, when he was at USC on the phone, that type of stuff. But he came up, turned around, and I knew who he was. And he looked at me. He said, I had a magazine with me from the year before. He said, "Give me that magazine." And he had a notebook. And this is someone that's not even working. He's
right.
He's scouting.
That's right.
And he asked me, he said, "Lee," he said, "we've been sitting down for about 10 minutes. He said, give me the best player the whole weekend that's going to play."
Yeah.
He said, "and make sure he's an underclassman, because I'm going to be getting a job somewhere and I got to go sign him." and I said, "Okay, so Neville plays tonight." I said, "Coach, tonight at 7 o'clock, you gotta look at Richard Lawrence. He's a sophomore."
Yeah.
And she said, you gave me a D lineman, huh? I said, "Yep, D lineman, defensive end, D tackle." I said, "He's a great kid. He's one of the greatest kids you ever meet academically and athletically. He's 6'2", 290. He's only 15. Yep. And I said, he's going to be a really big leader wherever he goes." And sure enough, you look back.
Boy, sure enough, huh? That was a home run.
he signs him, right? And then he coaches Richard, and then the rest, it just – but that's my story with him, because I met him, when he wasn't coaching. And we got to hang out about an hour in the suite. Nobody showed up. I'm like, "Where's everybody at?" It was one of the Class 1A games in the morning. And he said, I'm looking. I said, "Coach, I hope LSU hires you." And a few months later, Les hired him. And I was like, let me
add on to that story, just to talk about his work ethic and how he's constantly constantly recruiting. When he got to USC at the beginning back in 98, 99 he was there with Paul Hackett for that 1 year before Pete Carroll got the job. So Coach O's on that Paul Hackett staff, and after that season, he gets fired. You know, typically how it goes. You know, they let go the head coach, then let the new guy come in, and then he decides if he's going to keep anybody or what. Usually brings in his whole new staff.
Right.
Well, so Coach O, I hear this story. It was actually in his book Meat Market that they wrote about him. But Coach O, everybody else gets fired. Paul Hackett gets fired. All the coaches are waiting to see if they have a job. Well, instead of sitting back and going to look for a job during recruiting season, Coach O goes out on the road and he's still recruiting for the university. He's still recruiting for SC without even knowing if he's going to have a job. And all the guys are like, "Man, what are you doing?"
That's rare.
Like, man,
that's rare.
I'm recruiting. The UCLA coaches were even making fun of him, saying, "Man, what you doing here? You don't even have a job." And sure enough, Pete Carroll comes in, gets the job, lets everybody go, brings Ed in, says, "Man, you been recruiting this whole time?" Said, "Yeah, Coach, here's every player in the state. Here's who we need to get. Put it all organized for him." So, "Well, Ed, I think you're going to be my D-line coach and recruiting coordinator." That's how he got that job. So that's just how he is, man.
Look, Dustin, we're going to take a quick break and come right back.
Sure.
I want to talk about your days at Missouri Southern and your coaching at Nicholls State. Talk about Nicholls State a little bit. Your brother's over there on the staff.
Yep.
We're listening to Dustin Gisclair, former college coach from South Lafourche, cut off Louisiana. We'll talk about what he's doing now, too, but we'll be right back. We're going to take a break.
Hello, Sports Scout Report fans. Like what you hear? Well, you're going to love our content at lafootballmagazine.com. This week, check out Recruit Spotlight on Landry Walker quarterback Justin Hudson, who has committed to the Tennessee State Tigers this past week. Also, make sure to check out our podcast and pre-order your North or South Magazine edition for this upcoming season. All that and more on lafootballmagazine.com.
Welcome back. You listen to Sports Scouting Report with Lee Burkeen. We have Dustin Gisclair, one of the former college coaches. He's now. Tell everybody what you're doing now, Dustin.
Yeah. So Lee, I in 2013, that was my last year of coaching at Missouri Southern. I got out, and actually, my reason for getting out was I wanted to start a family and get married, settle down, put some roots somewhere. You know, I know how tough it is to do that. When the coaching profession, and I didn't want to be one of those guys that look back and say, when I retire, now I'm going to go spend time with my family. I want to watch my kids grow up and do those things. And look, I'm not saying that a coach can't. I just know it's really difficult with the hours that you have to put in.
It's tough.
It is. It's very tough, and it's tough on the wife. And I enjoy hunting. I enjoy fishing, and I like being a football fan. I like doing things like this, and just keep staying involved the ways that I can. So anyway, when I left, I came home and kind of had a few job offers here and there, but after bounced around a couple times. But when I finally, in 2015, got a call from a friend of mine that Loop, Louisiana Offshore Oil Port.
Okay.
Not sure if you're familiar with them, but they're we have an offshore platform. We provide about a third of the nation's oil comes through our facility. So we have a corporate office in North Park, Covington, and we have an office in St. James, Louisiana, and Galliano. And I am the supervisor at our St. James facility called LOCAP.
Okay.
So it's a pipeline company. We move oil. That's what we do. And I have a crew there that makes sure the oil continues to flow, and we keep up equipment. And it's kind of a big opposite side of than coaching, but I'm in charge of a bunch of good guys there. We are a team, and I feel like I'm still coaching every day because working with those guys, that's kind of how I go about my my business life. Like I was a coach. So
yeah. And look, we were talking off the air, and I want to mention this because we've got a lot of parents that listen, a lot of recruit dads and moms, and when you were at Missouri Southern, even though you were in our magazine, Louisiana Football Magazine, when you were at South Lafourche, we never really talked on the phone, but I promoted you. You were in the magazine and all that. But I remember you calling me from Missouri Southern saying, hey, I've got Louisiana. Help me.
That's right. So if you remember, we had Coach Darrell Day, who used to be at Nicholls State,
right,
as well as Coach Jay Thomas, who was at Nicholls State and Northwestern. Well, Coach Day got the head job at Missouri Southern, and we brought a whole bunch of Louisiana guys up there. So we were basically Louisiana, South Missouri, So that's what we called ourselves. When we got there, we didn't have much time. We got there in the spring, and we needed to recruit fast, but we had to recruit what we knew, and we knew we had connections in Louisiana. So I know we reached out to you, and I remember every coach in the office in Joplin, Missouri, had a copy of your magazine, and we're going through and we're calling coaches and we call kids. And, I know you helped us on quite a few of those kids. Helping us get the highlight tapes and information we needed, and that was big. I remember we had I can't remember the total amount of the signing class, but I know we ended up with like 15 or 16 Louisiana kids that came up to Joplin, Missouri.
Hey, and look, Dustin, that's hard to get kids to move to Missouri. That's not Mississippi.
Yeah. But I think our philosophy was we knew Louisiana and Texas and Mississippi. It's full of athletes, full of players, and Missouri Southern. It was a Division II school, but man, you got guys that Nicholls and Northwestern and stuff passed on that we and McNeese and Southeastern, all those schools would pass on that could have come to us and really help us. So that and some of them we beat them on. We even though we were Division II, we beat those guys out for these kids. So it was a special time, man. I really enjoyed my days in Joplin and Missouri Southern State, and it was a good time. Look, they hadn't had a winning season in like 10 years, and Coach Day, that first season we go, we go over the 500 mark, and I think we finished 6-5, and it was just something really special to kick them off in the right direction.
Dustin, I want to mention your brother Russ is on the Nicholls State coaching staff right now. You were there. You were D-line coach there at one time.
Yeah.
So what do you think of Nicholls State and the great job they're doing? I mean, you got to be proud. Your brother's there, and Tim Rebo, the head coach. I mean, they've put together and have assembled a great base of recruits. They signed a lot of Louisiana kids. They've done a great job.
Yes. So proud. So very proud. We had that. I was at Nicholls from as far as playing 03 through 06, and then I coached from 2006 until 2011, 12. And we won a conference title in 05, and then after that we struggled, and they went through some interview processes, and it was Coach Rebo was the guy, man. He has always been the guy. I'm so happy that Nicholls finally, made that decision to bring in Coach Rebo and his staff, and my brother included. I mean, those guys have done a tremendous job bringing winning and tradition and work ethic and culture back to Nicholls State. That they back-to-back Southland Conference champions. 2018, 2019. What an accomplishment. I mean, those guys really worked their tails off. I'm so proud of my brother. I'm so proud of Coach Rebo and all those guys. A guy I played with, Chris Thompson, is the DB's coach on their staff, So if he was actually drafted by the Jaguars, I think in the 3rd or 4th round or 5th round, my freshman year, he was a senior at Nicholls. So he's the DB's coach there now, and I'm just, those guys have. It's tough. It's tough at Nicholls, and you're not always just at the FCS level in general. Budget is tough sometimes, but those guys don't. No excuses. They don't let that affect them. They go out, they work, they recruit, they get it done. They're bringing in Division I transfers left and right. They're recruiting good character, young freshmen, bringing those guys in for the foundation of the team, and they're breeding excellence, and it's something very special to see.
And Dustin, I tell people all the time, I say that, you got D1 transfers, and then you got D1 impact transfers. And they're bringing in impact D1 guys, like they're getting the cream of the crop on D1 transfers.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. We were so fortunate to have Chase Forcade and I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. The defensive lineman from St. James.
Are you talking about Lutcher?
Yeah, Lutcher. I mean, sorry.
I'll tell you in a second. But
but
they had Veyron, the linebacker from Riverside, was one of the first classes.
But they had a great 4-year run with those guys, and Veyron's actually back, I think, this year, and now we have that transfer quarterback coming in. Lindsey Scott.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a special year. I'm really hoping those guys can get on the field and have this season.
Sully Lache. Sully.
Yeah, Sully left. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Sully, if you hear this. That's my bad. But no, they're prone to have an excellent 2020 season. Right now, I think, Lee, they're actually trying to fill that Mississippi Valley State game that was their first game of the season, but obviously it got canceled or postponed, and so they're working trying to fill that spot.
If they can get the quarterback position going at Nicholls, because they lost Chase Forcade, he was there 30 years, it seemed like. But they,
right.
They don't just have Lindsey Scott; they got 4 state championship winning quarterbacks on that roster. 4. Lindsey Scott is 5. That's 5 state championship Louisiana quarterbacks taking over, trying to win the job with Chase Forcade graduating. But if they can get solid quarterback play, they are the most talented team I think I've seen since the Sonny Jackson days to maybe win it all in 1AA. I know it's a lot of pressure, but I'm just saying it could be it could be that level.
That's right. And look, that's their goal. That's their focus. I can tell you, just from talks. I mean, they back-to-back conference titles, and now they're ready to take the next step. And they have the pieces to do it. The defensive backfield is stacked. The running backs are there. The O-line, everybody's returning except I think one lineman. I think they have everybody back except one. You got Lindsey. You got a whole bunch of guys behind him, like you just mentioned, and then the linebackers and D-line are there as well. Plenty of depth. Veyron leading those guys, and it's going to be exciting to watch. I really, really hope these guys can get on the field and play. I guess a question for you, Lee. Have you heard anything on as far as the virus and the seasons? I guess kind of like everybody, huh? Just unknown. We're all waiting.
Yeah, I think we're all see what happens with, whenever the governor announces it goes back to the stages. But I think I just have, like Ed Orgeron, I think we're going to have football. I don't know if it'll be September 1st.
Right.
But I think we'll have football, and I would be shocked if we're not kicking the ball off at some time in October. I would be shocked.
Yeah.
And
I agree. I think the bigger schools, they have the resources to do the testing every day or every couple of days, and to really keep their guys in somewhat of a bubble, I guess. At the FCS level, it's a little bit tougher, but I know one thing for sure. After talking to my brother and those guys, they everything in their power they're doing to keep those kids safe. Their safety is the number one priority, and they're taking this very seriously. But I really, really feel, with a good plan, that the season we can have a season this year. I'm not sure how many fans will be able to be in attendance.
Right.
But look, I think the economy needs it.
I agree.
You bring those games that's big for the economy and for the cities those games are in, and we need that boost. And
Dustin, I think the best rule made during all this by the NCAA, the best thing I ever heard, is that if for some reason you have the virus and you're a football player, you have to sit. Yeah. You can't play in a game. You got to sit 10 days. Now, that if I'm a player, I'm going to actually be like, well, I want to play, so I'm going to be as careful as I can to make sure I don't miss any games. And
that's right.
And I think that was a great decision by the NCAA to come up with something for the coaches, and that actually I think is going to allow it when they say, if one or two players come down with the virus, then they're going to have to quarantine and not be able to practice or play. And so
right.
Go ahead.
I was talking to a couple of other coaches and college coaches, and they said another rule that I think was recently passed by the NCAA is that every player, staff member, referee, coach who is going to be involved in a game is going to need to be tested 48 hours before the event. And I guess that at the FBS level, that's not a problem, but FCS, I'm hoping the NCAA is going to help pay for, fund all those tests, because I know that's not going to be a cheap thing to do. So,
no.
But either way, I know they'll figure it out, and at least they're getting some plans in place and taking the right precautions. So.
Coach, this is one question I have for you, final question. If you were still coaching right now college football, what would it be like to recruit during a pandemic for you? It's crazy for these coaches to have virtual meetings, right, on the internet. You have travel restrictions as a coach. You've already pushed back signing day. There won't be an early signing day, but we don't even know if there's going to be a signing day, the regular signing day. They might push that one back, before it's over. But it's got to be extra tough on these guys to try and recruit, because kids want to see a campus. At the end of the day, they want to be on campus, and you want to get them in to see the city, and they can't do that right now.
That's exactly right. Spring recruiting is probably the most important time to go out, and for those coaches not to be able to go out and start getting the freshmen and the sophomores and the juniors information now, and they're having to watch all the only film they have is what was played last year. You don't have that spring football film to watch. You don't have all the summer camps. I just remember this. Coach O, it's kind of something I picked up from him. But when you're recruiting, the biggest thing is to get the kids you want into a camp so you can see them up close. You can really put your eyes and on them and learn how they act and how they play and check their abilities. So it's I know that's a big hit. So those guys are having to rely solely on film. Yeah. And that's tough. You got to be a really, really good evaluator of film. Well, there's going to be some misses. There's going to be some, some mistakes. But hey, that's the time we're in. I know my wife wouldn't be happy though, because I wouldn't be on the road every night and every week. And
I want to mention this to parents, and this, but April and May are the only 2 months you can travel as a coach to hit all these schools, and you got several states per assistant. There was no April or May There was no travel, and like you said,
Right.
couldn't come in. But my phone's been ringing off the hook from college coaches, Dustin, saying, what do we got? I went to 100 games last year in the state.
Yep.
And I saw everybody play, even on the film before. I've been doing that for 25 years. But if Ed Orgeron's here or any of these coaches, call me, man, if they need some help on any of these guys. Because so that might end up happening a little bit. So
that's what they need, because, like I said, they didn't get to go out themselves this spring. They don't have the camps to film like they would normally do. So they, what you provide should be a hot commodity right now.
Dustin, any final thoughts about football? I mean, let me say this: if there is a football season, which hope there will be, right, for everybody and all these colleges, give me a prediction, and you don't have to do it real fast. You can think about it. Give me an LSU prediction this year and a Nicholls State. Yeah.
So I, hoping if everything goes, a perfect world and play all the games, I really, really, truly believe. I know a lot of LSU's success is going to depend on the quarterback play. But I have faith in Miles. I know Coach O has faith in Miles. He's been talking about him ever since they signed him. He told my dad one day, he said, right when they signed Miles Brennan, he said, I think he texted him or called and said, hey, this guy, he's going to be the next one. He's going to be the next. So he's believed in him since the beginning. Saying that, I feel like, that they can have another magical season. Realistically, maybe they make. I think the most, maybe they would lose 1 or 2 games, but if the cards fall right, I feel like they can run the table again. I really do.
I do too. I think they can be a playoff team again and win it all.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We got Alabama at home, and I know we're going to take care of business there. We go this year. The East game is South Carolina, so we should take care of business there as well. I feel like the beginning of the schedule, I think we'll get to 8 or 9-0, and then it's that back half. A&M, Alabama, Florida, all those the Auburn, those last few schools. That's going to be the gauntlet, just like it is every year. But I know Coach O have them boys ready. So,
and the thing is, before we get to Nicholls, I think this is a more talented LSU team. They just need to find that team chemistry, Dustin, like they had last year. Just find that, in coaching, that chemistry.
That leadership.
But they have more talent. I think they have more talent on paper to be even more talent. And
that's right.
And I'm like you. I think Brennan, he doesn't have to be an All-American for them to win it all. He could be above average, which, and he might be great. But I think LSU's had some great quarterbacks like Matt Malk and Matt Flynn. If you put them with this team coming up again, it could be an undefeated team again, like you said.
That's exactly right. Look, what made the team last year so great was the tremendous leadership they had, and that's I know they have that in this year. They're working on building it, but I know it's a lot of it's there already. So they just got to continue to grow on that, and they're gonna do great things. Coach O's got them right where they want.
Yeah. So, what about Nicholls State? What do you think of Nicholls this year?
Yeah, I'm fired up, man. After talking to my brother, he they even feel we can surpass last year's achievement, making it past the second round in the playoffs. I know their goals is national championship, man. That they're thinking big, and they have every right to, because they've earned it. They're winning the conference. Obviously, that's their first goal is to win the conference, I believe. And we can get into that playoff and have that first round bye, be in the top 8. You get that bye. That's a big boost.
Yeah, avoid those snow games, right? Those snow games, Montana or wherever they would play, right? Avoid the snow.
Right, and that's if we can get in the top 8. Top 8 get the bye, then we'll host. We'll stay at home for the first 2. Well, actually, sort of second round and the third round, depending how the game goes. We'd be at home at John L. Guidry. So they'd have to come down here, and that's what we're trying to avoid is going up there in the north and the cold, and we want to play at home. The guys, John L. Guidry, Coach Rebo did a great job of bringing the fans in and getting support and rallying the community. So I think Nicholls will run the table in conference again, and be sitting in that, hopefully in that top 8. Right now for the playoffs, and be able to host, have a bye and host a home game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that run game they're going to have and their defense is going to be off the charts in 1AA.
Yeah.
And this D1 recruiting class they got, these transfers, I think it's the best group of D1 transfers in all of 1AA of any year. They've got Keenan Jones from LSU, who could have been all SEC DB. Got the big receiver from Mississippi State, from Landry Walker, who's an NFL guy, and then Lindsey Scott, and there's several other ones that have come
That's right.
in.
There's about 10 Division I. I think they have the most in the Southland Conference. I saw a stat a couple days ago. They have the most major Division I transfers in the Southland. So they got 10 of them. So they're doing well. That week 1 Mississippi Valley State game that's canceled, if we replace that with a North Dakota State or a James Madison, those teams are always ranked in the top 10 preseason and in the playoffs. We get them down to John L. Guidry and get it done. That then we'll be sitting real pretty, and that'll be a real warm up game for the tough stretch we have in conference.
Even a Furman, if they're open, that's a big time program. Like that.
Absolutely.
Appalachian State, even maybe if they can get a small D1 like that.
Yeah.
They can beat Appalachian State, who's D1.
That's right.
But Dustin, thank you for being a part of the show, man. I appreciate you taking time, and I know you're busy with your twin girls, and
yes,
and I really enjoyed having you on, man. We were able to cover a lot of stuff, and there's nothing like football in Louisiana, right, Dustin? The high school, college level.
That's right. That's right, Lee. And if I can say, about those twin girls, I'd like to thank my wife for wrangling them up and watching them while I'm giving me a chance to step away and do this. She's an amazing woman, Amanda Guidry Gisclair, and I love her. Me and the girls are very blessed to be able to call her mother. So,
well, I'll tell you what, when this show plays, you got some bonus points in the household. I know that for saying that, right?
That's it. I learned that from my dad. He would say the same thing about my mom, Julie Gisclair. So it would be. I know. I learned from the best.
There you go. Well, Dustin, keep doing a good job with Loop Industries, and we'll have football at some point. I know everybody's ready to have it announced. So hopefully they'll make a decision soon, and it'll be a good decision. And look, man, take care, Dustin. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lee. Go Colonels.
There you go. Go Colonels. And go Tigers, and go everybody in Louisiana. Look, don't hang up. I want to talk to you some more, but we'll be right back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report with Lee Burkeen.
Parents, are you looking for advice on getting your high school athlete recruited by the right college? Lee Burkeen is your answer. Lee has been doing it for over 30 years. He knows the ropes, and more importantly, he knows the people. Lee offers turnkey service from evaluation, creating highlight tapes in the correct format, and complete guidelines for effective communication with the schools. No matter the sport, girl or boy, no matter what grade your child is in, let Lee Burkeen help match your child to the right college fit. Go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com, and get connected today.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen. If you want to read more on all of the high school and college teams in the state of Louisiana, go to lafootballmagazine.com to pre-order your North or South Magazine Preview Edition for the upcoming 2020 season. Also, don't forget to subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcasts. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you back on Monday.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brackeen.